Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Monday morning trading session. I trust everybody had a nice weekend. I know I did. But like all weekends, they're always too short. All right, so we just had the market open. And we'll take a quick little overview here of what's going on. It looks as though the market, a little bit of a decline through the overnight. This is where we finished the session on Friday, right around here. And this is where we're opening down here. So this is going to look like a little bit of an opening gap to the market this morning. We'll see whether or not they try to get into there or whether they're going to just run away. So far they're tailing off some. Let's see, where was Friday's low? Friday's low was right down here. And this was their low out of the open. So we're just kind of hovering above that at the moment. Here on the Falcon, you can see that we're just traded through the primary support line. So overall, this market has a little bit of a bearish flavor today. I'm also watching soybeans, and here we're getting a signal on soybeans right out of the gate with the eagle. You can see our day session on Friday was very, very tight for beans. Thursday, relatively quiet, a little bit better. Wednesday, better, but very, very choppy for the most part. And we're getting this type of rule of three type formation. It's not really a rule of three yet. Well, I suppose this signal here did develop before the band officially turned over. The nice thing about this signal is that we do get an opportunity for a second push on the entry. Now, a second push entry simply means we let the signal engage and we wait for this reaction. This is something that tends to happen a fair amount on the Eagle and the Falcon, not so much on the Hawk, however. So unfortunately, I cannot cover it way here above the high. Can I sneak it in right on the high? No, I still can't do that. What if, oops. All right, hold on a second here. All right, let's try this again. Oh, come on. There we go. I guess that'll have to do for now. It's not the best setup that I wanted, but I was playing with my charts and I think I goofed something up with them. Oh, I'm deadly when it comes to computers. If there's a way to break it, I can usually figure it out. That's why I get to play with all this software before it's released to the public, because Adam knows if anybody can find a chink in the armor, it's yours truly. Okay, I thought perhaps a trend line might be significant there. It looks, not really. Doesn't add any extra information to our chart. Good morning, Jim. Jim's giving me the advanced decline number. We've got a very lopsided market this morning, only about 650 buyers, 2,000 on the sell side, so we're sitting at around a negative 1350, 1400, somewhere in there. Definitely putting a bearish spin on the day. Okay, you can see here on the Raptor where I've drawn in the lines from the other day. We're just kind of hovering above that area. And maybe on the Raptor too, I will shoot a trend line. We do have a little bit of an overshoot here. If I take that trend line or that upper trend line down to the bottom, if I shoot a trend line across here, let's see if we still have that overshoot. Not so much. A little bit of a fudge, but nothing too terribly serious. So we're generating sell signals, working on a late filter entry signal. It hasn't come into sync yet. I would definitely be looking at taking it below the lows here. I would give up a couple extra ticks and make sure we can get below that low. Well done, Mark. Mark says, good morning, Eric. I've got a good day going over here. Between getting up early this morning and taking some early trades and the late filter entry on the NASDAQ that happened, I'm up over $500 already for the day. That is fantastic news. Well done, Mark. Nice way to start the week. And I'm a little reluctant to get too aggressive on my sell signal here in the Falcon, which may be disappearing as we watch it. If we have the trend line change here into green, we're actually going to get an early trend change signal. It's an early buy signal. But once again, I'm hesitating getting too aggressive. It's still a little bit early. Okay, now our late filter entry signal has actually been negated because our trend line has turned green. But we might be working on a early trend change signal to the downside now. I know it can get a little bit confusing when the market starts flip-flopping like this. Okay, we're definitely getting a trend change signal to the upside. So what I'm going to do, I expect a little bit of a hop to the upside. The only nice thing about this trade is that I can cover it below the lows. So let's see whether or not they do try to get into that range that was established, or that gap that was established early this morning. This is definitely counter trend, definitely higher risk. The only good thing is that by covering it below the low, I will definitely know I'm on the wrong side of this trading equation should the market trade back below the low. And you'll see the trend change signal develop very quickly here. We had this little up, down, up pattern. So the up changes the trend line from red to green. Here's the down, here's the up. We're getting another chance at it, it looks like. We'll see if we can't at least get this trade into a break-even situation. So they're rallying now. If they turn here again, I'm going to bring my stop here below these lows because it's going to look as though the sellers are going to get a little bit too strong. Oh, come on. Get up there. Come on, buyers. Don't let me down. Now we're into our hard edge here on our Raptor, where we very often see some sort of reaction. It's a problem with these counter trend trades. Getting a possible first micro macro cross here on the hawk. So the first micro macro cross signal developed right here. We are getting another one within the same neighborhood. I suppose I could try to get on board there. All right, well, maybe that will work itself into a 4-arrow consolidation. And now a red bar buy. Boy, oh boy, what a mixed bag we're getting here this morning. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can't get a little bit of a runner on this one. And I think we got tapped. Yes, we did. We got tapped here on our Falcon trade. So market dipped just a little bit too deep for my stop placement. All right, where's my bar high-low strategy? Oh, come on, get going. Get going, buyers. All right, let's see whether or not they can take out these highs now. This little swing high, we should see a little bit of a move higher if they're able to get above there. Nope, not yet. All right, so here come the sellers. We're all over selling here in the Raptor. This is a double pullback signal. Just hopping back and forth between the buyers and the sellers. Ay, ay, ay. I don't normally like doing it this way. Let me see about getting a stop strategy in play. All right, if we can see somebody take 45.06, I think we're going to see a little bit of a sell-off here. Come on. 45.06 quarter. Here we go. Essentially a test of the extreme is what we're seeing here. Come on, get down there. The Eagle also producing not really a hard edge bounce yet. We're currently against the ATR. And with our logic counter, we know that if this current bar finishes or closes down here, it will turn the ATR over. So that essentially will become our signal bar. Crude oil, still not a whole lot going on in crude. The market waffling a little bit. Maybe working on a trend change signal higher. All right, so here they come again. This is now, we're getting signals pretty much across the board. So here's the Falcon with a late filter entry signal. Looks like it's going to print near the lows here. We're getting a trend change signal, or pardon me, a with trend signal here on the Eagle. And we're going to need to, once again, wait for that ATR to turn over. If you wanted to be a little bit more aggressive, you could probably take it just below those lows. Of course, if it fails here, this would be like, what, the second or third attempt for the market to move lower. If it fails here, I think we are definitely going to see a rally. Oh, all this waffling back and forth and back and forth. All right, I'm just going to park that order there for the moment. We'll see whether this prints the hash mark. Actually, you know what? I'm going to wait for it to actually turn that ATR over. No point in getting too cute here. You can see getting a first micro macro cross. Also, a lot of yellow bars though. And notice the yellow bars all more or less at the same price level, the same latitude. Really giving this the appearance of what traders refer to as barbed wire because of the barbs or the chop on either side. And just like barbed wire, it's an easy place to get hurt. When you see the market doing this, very often the best strategy is to let it get outside of this trading range, look for the retest, and then look for your buying opportunity, or vice versa. Break to the bottom, retest, and then look for your selling opportunity. Now, if we get a first micro macro cross signal developing near the top end, I probably would buy that because that would kind of be an early retest. The other thing you can do with this is you could use like your OCO order and park an order above and park an order below. And just trade the breakout side. Now remember, with the OCO orders, these are live the moment you place them on your charts. All right, so it looks like here comes the first micro macro crossover warning dot. The advanced decline firming up a little bit. Jim says we got 700 buyers now and 1,900 sellers, so still in very bearish, but not as bearish as it was earlier. So we've gone from about a negative 1,400 to a negative 1,300. If you do choose to follow things like advanced decline numbers, bear in mind that they tend to be relative to each other. So we're running into a little bit of heat as we encounter the hard edge here on the Eagle. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my stop just a little bit deeper so I can see that reaction. Oh, come on. You're going to be like that, are you? Come on, buyers. Speaking of buyers, the soybean market looking a little bit more bullish now on the Falcon, where we're actually producing a trend change signal, or at least the warning dots. We don't have the signal just yet, but we've got two warning dots printing the third. That third one's probably going to turn into the triangle and hash mark. If you could cover the trade that far, that would be ideal. Can we cover it? No. Yeah, I was going to have to do a little reset here on my NinjaTrader after today's session. Oh, by the way, I do need to close up the room earlier than normal. Today I've got an appointment in Victoria at 9 o'clock, and so we're going to close things up probably at the bottom of the hour. And no follow through right now on the upside either, but that's kind of how this order is shaping up. All right, we'll just park that. Oh, baby, there they go again. Come on. So obviously, these highs here, very significant around this 45.15 area. And it seems to me that was a stumbling block on Friday also, 45.15, a pretty influential number. We'll just watch that for a minute. Yeah, this lack of follow through is a little concerning. You know, we expect the markets to be a little bit slow and choppy during the summer months, but this might be even a little bit more than usual. And just like the Nasdaq's been doing for the last few weeks, we get a move early and then it just starts moving sideways. And I'm wondering whether this morning's move was just a little shot to the downside, then to the upside, and then that's it. They're happy where they're at. Because there are obviously sellers here. Right? There's all sellers through here. They have their stop losses right up here. We've engaged their stops. We had buyers down here. You know, we've engaged their stops, and we're not seeing follow through one way or the other. Which seems to suggest that if you can steal a couple of dollars here and there, that might be the way to go. And now into a macro pullback. Ay, 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 they're just dragging their feet so hard. No participation on those breakouts. We highlighted that channel, that sideways range that looked like that, and just nobody wants to participate. Ay, 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 here they go again. Go ahead, tag me, I dare you. There's going to be days like this where you're looking at signals like a first micro macro cross that fails. Now, before you say it fails for sure, you have to allow yourself a reasonable stop. For instance, if I placed my stop very, very tight, I can't really say that the signal failed because we know occasionally the market will move against us. But I left a fairly reasonable stop here. Um, we had, well, actually that first micro macro cross out of the gate worked just fine. I do believe this red bar buy worked out. But if you start getting high probability signals like first micro macro crosses, like macro pullbacks, and they're not following through, you need to start asking yourself, is this going to be one of those days where the market is just not responding to the signals? It's very rare that we don't find at least a couple of signals that turn out, but it can happen. If that's the case, if the market is just starting to be too uncooperative, there are days where sometimes you're just better off saying, no, thank you, I'm not going to play today. And this may be setting up to be one of those days. We had the late filter entry signal, I think, here earlier. Or I did take a signal somewhere through here where I incurred a small loss, I think. Or it was the trend change signal. Yes, and we incurred a small loss on that. Again, a signal that should be working out. And perhaps in hindsight, as choppy as the market is, where was our signal? Somewhere right around here. Perhaps as choppy as the market is, we need to just be leaving our stop. Just let the market sort itself out. You'll see that we still haven't reached our profit target. Just kissed it. Certainly the trade, if we were running a break-even trigger, we would have been stopped around break-even, either here or back here somewhere. But not characteristic of what we normally see. All right, well, we're in a demo room here, so I'm entitled a few luxuries. This is another first micro macro cross signal, and it's making me wonder whether this was just an unfortunate coincidence that where my stop was placed, that maybe I should have been more uh, structural with my stop placement, namely setting it down here below a proper swing low. You know, whenever you can work off of an actual price on the chart, that's always better. So again, first micro macro cross, there we go. And it's a first micro macro cross because we had our bar color go out of sync. We had our trend lines go out of sync. We had our filter go out of sync. And now everything has come back into sync. So even though the lines technically did not cross, this is still a first micro macro cross signal. And I'll tell you, the way that they're trading today, I'm thinking just go all in, all out. Even though, let's see, where's my median line? 45.33. That would be near Friday's highs, I think. The gap would put us around 45.20, 22, 23 in that neighborhood. That would fill this morning's gap. All right, let's see if we can't run it. I'm going to take a chance here and see if we can't run it up. All right, we're seeing a little bit of commitment. That's good. I'll enable my stop. We would have hit our break-even trigger by now. So this is, again, one of these. It's one of these situations where you wonder, should I take the break-even? Certainly, you know, as crazy as this market is today, break-even doesn't seem like a bad trade-off. Okay, let's go. Okay, 45.18, we would have hit our profit target, so that would be money in the bank. All right, that's far enough for me that I'm going to take the stop to break even. And once again, we're well into our profit objective. So if you were going all in, all out, you could certainly punch out with profit right now. Jim says the DAX has got a hangman formation on a 5-minute chart, which would be a little bit of a toppy signal. But the advanced decline still firming up. 800 on the sell side and 2,000 on the buy, or pardon me, 800 on the buy side, 2,000 on the sell side. So that's now a negative 1,200. That's actually getting a little bit stronger. It does look like they're going to try to recover at least part of that gap. Nope, there they go. Well, like I say, one of those days. I think, do we have an FOMC day or something this week? Or there's something's going on with the Fed or something this week, I think. Yeah, nothing going on for us today report-wise. So yeah, you know what? I'm starting to think the only way to trade today, as we're working into a possible 4-arrow consolidation, is set your trade, use a swing high or low, and just leave it alone. Really don't even touch it. As you know, I've shared with you my trading weakness is, if anything, I have a tendency to tweak myself out of a perfectly good trade. And I think today is the type of day where you really just need to sit on your hands, let the market churn itself out. Here we go. No, Mark says Wednesday we've got some news coming from the Fed. Yeah, see, doggone it. Stopped myself out too early. At least it was a break-even trade. Oh well, it won't be the last time. Pretty sure of that. And there they go, right into the gap. And it looks like they're going to get all the way here to 45.33. Look at that. Pressed right on through to the median line, or the median line, yes. What a nice little run to the upside. Yeah, got to make a note about letting those trades sort themselves out. It's one thing to get stopped on a trade that's truly reversing, but when you stop yourself out because you get a little bit too anxious, that's a little disheartening. Yeah, Tony says, dang, this is easy in hindsight. Yes, sir, it sure is. Well, I just kind of had that feeling the way the day was going that I should have just left my stops alone. Sometimes it just needs that little bit extra. It's not that we were on the wrong side of this trade. Even back here on our Falcon, if you think about the money that you end up spending in commissions and fees every year, it's really worth your while sometimes to trade less, just run a big stop, leave it open, at very least get your profit target. And then we had another trend change signal right there, bouncing off of the primary support zone, rallying right to the median line. I was really looking to use that median line as a profit target on our hawk trade. But of course, I got a little bit too excited there. Before I clear this here on the Raptor, I just wanted to show you once again how this was all playing out. We saw the little bit of a trend line overshoot here out of the open. And why is that significant, you say? Well, because this is actually a bullish sign. You would think that overshooting the trend line to the downside would be a little bit more bearish, that it would show that the bears are stronger, but no, it's not. If you see trend line overshoots, and usually I'm looking for more substantial overshoots. I'm looking for overshoots that would look, something like this. That would be a real heavy overshoot of the trend line. This would really suggest that the bears have overextended themselves and the buyers are going to start to take the market back. But at any rate, we did see them rally to the other side where, once again, we would expect some sort of reaction, some sort of sell signal, which failed just as the band was turning over. And I think Jim made a good observation about how when these clouds start intersecting around the 8 cloud and the 10 cloud, when they start intersecting like this, we're getting good areas of support in this case because the market's starting to trade above, or resistance if the situation was reversed. And of course, in this case, we got exactly that. So I don't know if anybody was able to take advantage of that move, but good for you if you were. It certainly was not easy to spot this morning, as Tony mentioned. So don't beat yourselves up if you didn't get it. These things are going to happen. I miss moves all the time. And you guys get to see me do it. All right. Soybeans still kind of moving sideways. They're trickling lower again. This is another trade where you're going to want to keep your stop back a little bit. Crude oil, non-committal, still moving very, very sideways on crude also. All right, we'll hang with this market just for a few more minutes. I apologize. Like I said, I need to head into the city this morning, and so I'm going to have to shut the room down a little bit earlier than usual. But what we just saw there, that run up, may well be the move of the day. Can't really say the day has a bearish or bullish tone. Although, you know what we've seen here in the NASDAQ, definitely a little bit more bullish. I think the bulls get the nod at the moment. So buying opportunities would be preferred over sellers. Tony says, you're having lunch at the Empress? It's been a long time since I had lunch at the Empress. The Empress Hotel, a famous hotel here on Vancouver Island in Victoria. And high tea is the big deal there. You can go have a proper high tea. And I forget what it is now. When I did it, it's the kind of thing that you do when company comes over. You know how it is, especially when you live in a tourist town. You rarely do the touristy things until you get company. And so it's been a long time since I've had high tea at the Empress, and I think the last time I was there was $40 or $50 a head. Oh yes, the Empress is a pretty fancy hotel. It's where all the movie stars and musicians like to stay when they come to town. Jim says the advanced decline still getting a little firmer. 1,100 buyers now, 16 or just shy of 1,700 sellers. So what is that, about 550, 600? So the advanced decline getting a lot more bullish also. Phil says, I love the maple syrup there at the Empress. One of my neighbors actually taps his own maple trees. Maple syrup is more of a thing out of the East. I guess the more extreme weather really gets the sap flowing more. But yeah, my neighbor will tap his maple trees and make his own maple syrup. I've never tried it though. He's never offered. Takes a lot of syrup to make maple syrup. It's quite the process. All right, you guys, I'm going to button up the room because I need to go. It looks like we're getting a possible macro pullback signal here, but be cautious because you see our Falcon is getting a little bit weaker, and I would be more open to a hard edge bounce signal, perhaps on the Eagle or even on the Raptor. I think that would be a little bit more probable. All right, and I will see you tomorrow morning then. Be careful. It's a tough day. Talk to you soon.